Hello everyone. So welcome. As you join me, today we're just going to do a little bit of shoulder movement. So if you have a belt, so this could be a yoga belt, it could be one of those therapy bands or a tie or a dressing gown belt or a scarf. If you a shawl, a long blanket. So if you have something like that available, go and get it now at the start of your practice. If not, don't worry, because you can still do the shoulder exercises. You just won't be holding onto anything. So what we want to do is we want to hold something over our head with our hands. So take a moment to go and grab a belt or your equivalent of a belt. I'll give you a couple of seconds to find something that you can hold in your hands. I don't know why I'm rolling this up. Just keep it nice and tidy. And then also have available anything else that you need for your practice. So your blanket, your equivalent of cushion, pillow, bolster-like. So anything that's rolled up, those are your big duvets or comforters or several blankets or towels rolled up. So just have some props available that you can use or adapt to help support you in your practice today. We're going to be doing upper body yin today, really working on shoulder and shoulder mobility, opening across the chest. So really just focusing around the heart and lung kind of meridians. Let's just check the time. Yeah, it's time. Coming into your easy pose, your sukhasana, your seated pose. And if you have a blanket or your block or cushion available, place it underneath your sit bones now, so that you can ground down through your sit bones, lengthen through your spine. And let's roll your shoulders up towards your ears and slide them down and away, palms face up, thumb and index touching here. So let's take a first few moments to come into stillness on our mats, cultivating a sense of ease, stillness, and maybe you close your eyes or take a downward gaze. And begin to notice your breath. Let's use our breath to soften and surrender and release into our practice. So focus your attention on the out breath. Notice the quality of the breath as you breathe out, the length of that breath, the depth of that breath. And observe whether the out breath is slightly longer than the in breath. Is there any difference between the two? Inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your nose, and noticing the out breath. And with each of the out breaths, set an intention to surrender, soften, release. Inhale through your nose, out through your mouth. And notice if there's any places where you have resistance in your breath. where it might feel tight or short. And again, use your breath to bring a sense of softness, of ease, of flow. Inhaling, let's bring your hands to your heart center in Namaskar. Opening our practice by chanting Om 3 times to open. Inhale through your nose, out through open mouth to wash out the breath. Inhale to prepare. Om. Inhale. Om. Inhale. Om. Hands to your eyebrow center. Namaste. And welcome to your Yin practice, Sunday slow down or rest and reset. So today we're going to be resting and resetting our upper body, really working around the shoulders, the upper chest. So focusing on our heart and lung meridians. And the qualities that we want to invite, as we just did with our breath, is a sense of softness, release, surrender. We're working with our shoulders today in particular to release some of the tension that we may have been holding over the last few months. There's been lots of causes for increased levels of stress and anxiety. And so today we want to relieve the tension, release that stress that has been building up, so hunching up on our shoulders. So we're really going to be rolling through our shoulders. So let's start by placing your palms on your knees and inhale, lift your shoulders up towards your ears. Hold them there just for a moment, hunched up there. And then let's roll them down and away. And as you do that, draw your shoulder blades together. Inhaling, begin to round through your chest and rolling your shoulders, so big circles with your shoulders. 3, going back in reverse. And now let's reverse it, so coming forward. Roll your shoulders up towards your ears, really concave your chest here to exaggerate this motion. And now let's hunch our shoulders up towards our ears. And what I'm going to ask you to do is just to drop your shoulders with a sense of heaviness and weight dropping to the earth with gravity. Just drop your shoulders heavily. Inhale, lift them and drop them heavily down towards the earth. So you're really exaggerating this motion, lifting them up and dropping them down. Let's lift the right shoulder towards the right ear for a moment. Bring that right ear there. So really scrunch it up. So we want to scrunch up our shoulders for the moment. And then maybe you take your left arm out slightly, lift it off the earth here. And then release that shoulder. Let's bring the other shoulder up. Really exaggerate this sense of crunch. Squashing the shoulder up towards that ear. And then let's drop it. So now let's add to it. Bring your right fingertips onto the earth there for a moment. Lengthen through your neck, your head, your crown, up towards the sky. So just connect there for a moment. Then place your palm on the earth and drop your ear down towards that shoulder. And so now you'll begin to feel an extension on the left side. That left arm can be extended. Now, if you feel comfortable here, maybe slide your hand away and bring your forearm to the earth. Stay connected through your sit bones. And if the earth feels a long way away, use your bolster or your cushion to place your forearm on there. So we're really scrunching up on the right side and extending on the left. One moment. Then push away from the earth to rise back to center. Let's go the other way. So let's start by just placing our palm on the earth and dropping that left ear towards the left shoulder. And then if that feels fine, we can slide that hand away, perhaps bring the forearm to the earth. Really allow your head to hang heavy here. You might place your forearm on your bolster or your pillow. And then inhale, center. Let's turn our head over to the right. Inhale, center. Turn our head over to the left. Inhale, center. Now let's do a semicircle. So round to the right and over to the left. And back. And depending on how your head feels here, so your neck and the story that you have for your neck, you might roll your head all the way. If it doesn't feel comfortable, go halfway, and then let's roll all the way over to the other side. Tuck your chin into your throat and allow your head to hang heavy here. Take your hands to the back of your head, clasp your fingers and draw your elbows towards each other so that you lengthen the back of your neck here. Keeping your hands at the back of your head here, begin to open your elbows and then lift your gaze and still cup. So your hands are acting as a hammock for the back of your head. So open your elbows, lift your gaze. One more time, let's bow and bring our elbows in towards each other, lengthening the back of our neck. And then inhale to lift your gaze, open your elbows. And then let's release our hands here. So if you have your belt or belt equivalent, so it could be a long scarf, a shawl, a towel, a dressing gown belt, a tie, anything that you have available. I'm going to reach for it in a moment. If you don't have it, not to worry, we'll make do without. But before we use our belt, we're going to just do some coherent breath. So open out your arms to the side. Palms face up. Inhale, we're going to count for 4 as we inhale and lift our arms above our crown. And then as we exhale, we're going to lower our arms down towards the earth, again for a count. So that's just to give you an idea. And then we're going to hold at different points. So let's inhale, lift our arms for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath in for 4, 6, 2, 3, 1. Really should learn to count backwards. Let's exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath out for 2, 1. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath in. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath out for 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath in, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath out, 2, 1. Such a simple thing, isn't it, to count? Let's reach for your belt or your belt equivalent. So I'm going to make some space. So if you have the wall behind you, make sure you have a little bit of space. And if you don't have a belt, simply curl in your fingers and take your thumb to the outside of your finger. So you create a little gentle fist, and that can be your equivalent of holding a belt. And what we're going to do is we're circling up and back. So as you go back, draw your shoulder blades together. If you have a belt or a therapy band, you can use your therapy band. So create a sort of the length of perhaps one arm above you. So it depends on how tight your shoulders are. So we're increasing our shoulder mobility here, and by doing these shoulder flossing. But again, you might find that you need to take your hands further apart, or you can bring them together. So take it round to the back. Inhaling, and this is the hardest bit. You might need to bend your elbows because I have shoulder injury, so for me that's very challenging. And then bring it out in front of you. Inhale to reach up. And then exhale to take your hands behind you. Draw your shoulder blades together, engage your core here. And this is the challenge here. So you can see for me it's a real challenge. You can see where I have scar tissue in my shoulder, it gets stuck. This will help to draw energy into areas where you might have scar tissue building up, where you might have stiffness. So one more time. There we go. So you can see where I have my shoulder injury. You can see where my shoulder gets a little bit stuck. And so this will help to increase the mobility I have in my shoulder. It's a lot better than it used to be. So let's just, you might want to just shake your shoulders out here. I like to shake my hands just to release that tension. So shake your hands out. Now, let's reach out with our right arm over to the right. So reach out with your fingertips as far as you can go. And then let's sweep the arm around so it crosses our body. And then take your left hand to just the elbow and then pull that right arm in towards you. And you can see here, I like to bring a mudra in. So I like to use my Gyan mudra, thumb and index touching. Let's drop that shoulder as well. It's a little bit hunched up. One breath here. And then let's release, sweep that arm all the way out, slightly behind you. And then release it to the earth. Let's take our left arm as far as it can go. So create some energy. And then sweep that arm around and across in front of your body. Take your right hand to your forearm or your elbow. Relax that left shoulder. And then draw that left arm in towards you by applying some gentle pressure with your right hand. And again, you can come into your mudra if you wish. One more here. And then let's release our arm all the way around, sweeping it back and take it behind us slightly. So you can see what I do with my shoulder there. So I'm training my shoulder. So naturally, when you have injury or issue somewhere, you tend to hunch that shoulder up and then release it to the earth. Let's take a moment here. In front of you, create a little bit of space. Let's reach our palms forward, fingertips pointing up. Really push out through the heel of your hand. And then exhale, bring your hands down towards the earth. Place them on the earth for a couple of breaths. Just create some space. Take a moment here. Maybe you bow your head. If you wish, you can slide your hands forward and come into a forward fold here. Bringing your crown down towards the earth, your eyebrow center down towards the earth. Have your fingers spread wide as you do this. So it doesn't matter where you are. One breath here. Then inhale, draw your hands back towards your body. Bring them back up, fingertips flex, pointing up. Now let's drop our fingertips down towards the earth. And this time again, we come to the earth, and this time we place the backs of our hands on the mat. So find a position that feels comfortable for you. So if it feels odd to do this with your legs crossed, you can come onto your shins and be in this variation. That might give you a bit more space so that your sit bones are resting on your heels. One breath here. That's going to feel, you're going to feel the extension all the way down, particularly here at your wrist. If it feels uncomfortable, an option you can always do is to have your blanket sort of folded up, and so that you place the wrist on your blanket so that it's less intense angle for your hand and wrist. Then let's release our hand. You might want to rotate here, wrist one way, then the other way. Let's take a moment there. We're going to move into eagle arms. And before we come down to the earth, we'll come making our way to the earth in a moment. So let's open out your arms as far as they can go. Let's cross your arms in front of you and really hug yourself in here. So take your fingertips towards the middle of your back here, hugging yourself there. Now you might want to stay here, or you can release your hands and bring the backs of your hands together. You might want to double wrap the left fingertips onto your palm. So it doesn't matter if you're depends on which hand is up on top, or go the other way anyway. Just remember which way round you are now, which elbow is on top. One breath here. And then let's uncross your arms, open them out wide. Now this time let's cross the other way. So I'm going to cross the other way. This way might feel a little strange. Again, hug. And then take your fingertips towards the middle of your back. And then let's bring the backs of our hands together, or wrap your little fingers around onto the opposite palm. And again, just make sure that this time you have the other elbow on top. One more breath here. Let's release, open your arms. You might want to roll your shoulders, shake it out. We're going to come onto the earth, and we're going to be on our fronts for this practice because we're going to be opening up our shoulders. So let's come onto our knees first. And what I invite you to do, if you wish, is to pad your blanket, your mat with the blanket, so that you have a blanket underneath your abdomen, your hips, so it feels more protected and more padded. Here we go, sit down. So let's come onto your knees here and onto your forearms for a moment. You can always have your blanket underneath your knees at this point if you wish. Good transition from melting heart onto our abdomens. So for your melting heart, you can stay here, so you're quite raised. You can also place your bricks or your cushions so that your eyebrow center can rest on your bricks or your cushions or bolster. So that could be option one. Option two might be you slide your hands away
and bring your eyebrow center directly to the earth. You can always fold one arm in so that one arm is extended. That will lessen the intensity of the sensation in your shoulders and arms. So come into your variation. Let me turn my hair back so you can actually see me. Melting your heart down towards the earth. And check how your arms feel. So if your arms are parallel, it will feel more intense. If your arms are as wide or wider than your mat, you'll notice that the sensation changes. So play around and see what it is that you wish to experience and where you want the experience. If at any point you get pins and needles or a tingling or numbing sensation in your arms, then ease away from the edge. So then what you do is you walk your hands slightly back towards your body, or you fold in one arm. Let's be here for another 6 to 10 breaths. If you have one arm folded, swap over so that you extend the other arm. Maintain a sense of engagement at the core by drawing your navel up towards your spine. And guide your breath. Use your breath to soften, to surrender, to release any physical tension that you are holding. Breathe into those areas of physical trauma or scars that you may have. And remember to be mindful and compassionate to those parts of your body that are telling you a story, that are holding some history for you. One more breath here. Then let's fold in your arms and walk your hands back towards you. Let's come into child's pose just for a moment here. So your knees can be as wide as your mat, big toes touching, or your knees can be parallel. Wherever you are, let's bend your elbows and bring your hands to the back of your head in Namaskar, so that your eyebrow center is on your earth, on a cushion. Your elbows are reaching forward, your hands are in prayer at the back of your head. Maybe you walk your elbows slightly forward, and that will create a sense of extension. That you'll probably feel the length of the side of your body. Softening here, each out breath melting you down towards the earth. And then let's release your hands. And here I'm going to give you a variation for child's pose. And if you are near a sofa or an armchair, what's really great is to be able to put your hands or your arms on your sofa or your armchair. I've got my footstool here. You might have your bolster here or a pile of pillows. So again, you can choose to have wide-legged child's pose with your knees as wide as the mat and big toes touching, or you can have your knees a bit closer together and toes touching. What I invite you to do is to place your arms on your footstool, your armchair, your sofa, so that your sit bones are connected with your heels. Remember, you can pad the earth with your blanket. You can also place a blanket or a cushion between your heels and your sit bones
Your eyebrow center can be resting on the sofa, or it could be supported here so that you're engaged. And this really opens up and lengthens, again, the space underneath your armpits, the back of your shoulders. And again, mindful of any pins and needle sensations you get. Because we're really extending our arms here, we can stimulate some nerve endings. And then we might have a sensation of pins and needles. So then soften. So bend your elbows will often help release any pins and needle sensations you have or tingling. One more breath here. And then let's lift our gaze, straighten up, coming off, taking our arms off the sofa or armchair or low footstool. Make some space here for me. And now what I'm going to do is ask you to come onto your forearms and slide your knees away so that we come into Sphinx pose here. So your forearms are parallel or wide, depending on how much space you want for your lower back here. Have the sensation that you're shining your heart forward. Your gaze can be parallel to the horizon. Alternatively, you can place your cushions or your bolster or your bricks and then bring your eyebrow center to rest there. So if I've got my bricks handy here, or alternatively I could use my bolster, whatever you have available. Your feet can be as wide as your mat, or your big toes can be closer together. Again, that changes the sensation in the lower back here. But because we're working with the upper back, what we want to do is keep shining our heart forward, drawing your shoulder blades together. So transfer some of the energy into the upper body here. We're not here for long in Sphinx today. We're really using this as a transition pose. So 6 to 10 breaths here. If it feels too uncomfortable to be in Sphinx, remember you can always transition into crocodile by taking your elbows as wide as the mat and then bringing your eyebrows center to rest on your backs of your hands. And then this immediately reduces the compression in your lower back. To create some space for my feet and my posture. So you'll be in various options of Sphinx here or crocodile. We're going to transition from here into our angel wing pose. Actually, no, let's do cross your heart first, and then we'll do angel wings after that. So we're going to cross our hearts. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take our right arm underneath our body and take our left arm underneath our body so that we cross our arms underneath our body. Our palms are facing up. Now this might feel quite strange. Your head here won't be resting on the earth because you probably won't reach the earth here. So if you wanted to rest your head rather than hold it up, and resting your head is always a desirable option, you can again use your blankets or blocks or your bolster. So here I'm using my cushions. I'm crossing my arms. So I'm with my fingertips, I'm reaching away from me as if I'm trying to grasp something. And then I'm going to soften here for a bit. This feels quite intense in my shoulders. So be aware of how this feels. If it feels too intense to have both arms crossing in front of you, you can have just one arm crossed underneath you and the other arm in a sort of an L shape
next to your kind of mat. So your elbow is out, your fingertips are pointing up here. So you only have one arm crossed underneath you. And then I will tell you when to swap over so that you have a chance to do this with both arms if you're going for the half hot cross your hot variation rather than the double arm variation. So we'll take 3 more breaths here. So you'll notice that I'm not holding the poses for as long as we usually do this week. It's because often we don't pay this much attention to our shoulders and upper body. And therefore the experience might feel quite intense and unusual. Now, if you have one arm underneath your heart and the other arm alongside, sort of parallel to your head, let's slide the arm that's underneath you and bring it out, and then slide the other arm underneath you so that you're now crossing the opposite arm under your body. If you have both arms crossed underneath you, what I'm going to do is ask you to rise up a little bit and then pull one arm out and cross it underneath the other so that you're now crossing in the other direction. So swap the cross of your arms. So whichever arm was in front, now take it behind, so that we are paying equal attention to both shoulders. So if you're in the half arm variation, you'll have one arm alongside your cushion or your head and the other arm crossed underneath you. If you're in the double arm cross, you'll have swapped the cross around. And remember, your eyebrow center can be resting on a mat, on a cushion, on the mat. Well, maybe not on a mat, depends on how much space you have. I think I have a bit more space on this side, so my eyebrow center can reach. Let's have 5 more breaths here. And I know this feels quite intense. And I'm hoping that if it does feel too intense, you've gone for the one arm underneath your body variation. Again, listening and tuning into your body. We're releasing tension in our shoulders. We're not going to add tension to our practice. One more breath, and let's begin to slide our arms out from underneath you, just for a moment. And we're going to go back into either crocodile, so your eyebrow center is resting on the backs of your hands and elbows out to the side, sphinx, or you can transition into seal. So for seal pose, have your arms extended, have them slightly out, so you're creating a sort of a V shape. Fingers spread wide, and again, lift your gaze. So you can have a soft bend in your elbows if you wish. So your arms are really sliding out. So my hands are at the top corners of my mat, as wide as my mat. Your hands might be even wider than your mat. So find the variation that works for you, or you can be in Sphinx or in crocodile. If you wish to use your bolster here in Sphinx, and notice how I move with care when I come out of that. You have your bolster at the top of your mat, so that your bolster is underneath your rib cage, so that you can rest your rib cage on your bolster, and that gives you a little bit of support. And we'll be here for another 10 breaths.
Remember, here we're working on our upper body, so shine your heart forward. Soften through your shoulders. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. One more breath here. And we're going to transition with great care from here. So begin to lift your hips. We're going to come into hare pose. So we do this often in the Hatha practice. So tuck your toes here and bring the crown of your head down towards the earth. Your hands and forearms can be supporting you here. They're alongside your head. So your head is framed by your lower arms and your hands. Or you can reach back with your hands and take hold of your heels. And begin to round through your back here to counteract as a counterpose to our Sphinx and Seal. Again, use your props. So you can always place the crown of your head on your cushion. And remember, today's intention for this practice is about softening, surrendering, releasing all this tension that we hold in our upper body when we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. So we're literally releasing ourselves of this burden by using our breath. One more here in hare pose. Now let's release your hands. We're coming back onto our abdomen. We're now going to move into our angel wing pose. Poor dog gets all of my cushions and bolsters thrown on top of him. So let's come onto the earth, onto our abdomens. And shuffle over to one edge of your mat so that you have lots of space. So I'm shuffling over to the left side of my mat. Reach out with your right arm away from your body. And then come onto the earth so that your right arm is extended. Your left arm is folded in and perhaps your eyebrow center is just resting on the back of your left hand. Right arm is extended away from you. Now from here, let's take our left hand out to the side, bend into our elbows. Here we might bring we might come onto our fingertips or stay on our palm. And gradually we're going to roll onto the right hip so that we roll and open into our right shoulder. Our left hand and arm are acting as a stabilizing force, almost like a scaffold. Here your knees can be bent. That will help. If your legs are extended, it will feel a little more intense. So you're rolling onto your right shoulder and arm here. You're on your right hip. Your hips are stacked. Your head can be resting on the earth. And again, you can use your cushion, so your head can be resting on your cushion. We're going to add on here in this pose today. So I'm actually going to turn around so you can see me. So I'm hoping you have a good view of me here. So what you can do is take your left hand and take it to the back of your lower, place it on your sacrum and open across your left shoulder as well. So that's option one. Option two is you can turn the palm of your right hand and interlace your left and right fingers behind your back. This will feel quite intense. So yogi's choice here. That right palm can stay facing down and the back of your left hand to your lower back. Or you can flip your right palm and interlace your fingers behind your back.
And you also have the option of bringing the sole of your left foot to the earth here, so that you can really roll over fully onto your right hip. And we turn around again, so you can see me from a different angle. So you're going to be in various versions of this. You might have your knees bent, that left hand acting as a stabilizer, right arm reached behind you. You could have your legs extended. You could have the back of your left hand on your lower back, or you could be interlacing your hands behind your back in a clasp. One more breath here, whichever variation of angel wings you're in. If you have your hands interlaced, bring your left hand back to the earth and begin to roll onto your front here. And take a moment here, lying on your front again, bend into your elbows and bring your hands up underneath your eyebrow center and crocodile just for a moment before we go the other way. And then when you're ready, let's shuffle our body over onto the right side of our mat. Extend your left arm out and away from you. And for the moment, your eyebrow center is resting on the back of your right hand. And then when you're ready, let's use our bend into our right arm and come either onto our fingertips or onto the palm of our hand with our elbow creating this sort of this shelf-like scaffold to hold us up. And then begin to roll onto the side and coming onto your left hip. You're stacking your hips here. Your right hand continues to support you. Your legs can be extended or you can have a bend in your legs here. Your option for your hand, your right hand, is to take it to the back of the lower back. So the back of your right hand is on your lower back. You can also flip your left palm and reach behind and interlace your fingers. This might feel different from one shoulder compared to the other. And then you can also bend into your right knee and place your right foot on the earth. And I'm very aware that this will feel very intense in your shoulders. So always ease away, coming into the most supportive variation of angel wings. And for me, the most supportive is having my knees bent, the palm of my hand on the earth next to my head. So there's a spectrum in yin. Spectrum of intensity, of edge, and where we are will vary depending on our stories and experiences that our body has been through. Three more breaths here, an angel wing here on the left side. So if your right foot is on the earth, let's bring that leg on top of the left, release your clasp, support yourself with your right hand and then roll onto your abdomen. And again, let's bring our hands underneath our eyebrow center, elbows out to the side. If that doesn't feel comfortable, you can always come onto your left ear and have your arms alongside your body, palms face up. You might feel the need to straighten your arms here. That's always an option too. And if you're on your left ear with your arms alongside your body, turn over so that you're on your right ear. Just turn your head. One more breath here. So from here, we are going to now transition and come onto our backs. So you can roll over elegantly. And this is where you might want to reach for some props to place underneath your lower back. So we're going to come into a supported bridge. You can use your cushions or you can use your bolster. I wouldn't recommend using your dog, although he's placed perfectly there for me to use it. So I'm going to use my bolster here. You can use some folded blankets as well. So let's start off by having the bolster underneath your knees if you're using your bolster here, or have your cushions handy. So make sure it's comfortable as well. And come onto your back here. So place the sole of your feet onto the earth. And inhale, lift your hips and bring your cushions or your bolster underneath your hips and pelvis. And you want your tailbone to be in the middle of that bolster or your cushions so it feels really supported. The heaviest part you want supported fully by your bolster or your cushion. If you don't have those available, you can always place a heavy book and just place it underneath your spine so you just have a little lift. So if you had something the equivalent of a brick, you could place that under your lower back. You might want to pad it a bit with a blanket. Folded blankets will also do the lift. What we want to do is elevate our hips. Let's have your arms away from your body, palms face up. And you can close your eyes here. We'll be here for at least a minute. And then I will give you an option to extend into the next minute by stretching your legs out. But for the moment, let's have our knees bent, feet firmly planted on the earth. So tuck your chin in slightly, lengthen your neck so that there's lots of space between your shoulders and ears. You might want to shuffle your shoulders down a little. And here, soften, surrender, release. And you might want to drop into your heart space. So here's an opportunity to connect with something personal to you, perhaps something you wish to release or soften into. Perhaps you want to seek to soften in your relationships, maybe soften in your attitude to yourself, softening judgment. Perhaps you're seeking to release some strong emotions. Perhaps you want to release some responsibilities or tasks that you have taken on that are simply too much for right now. And here you can visualize all of those dropping down and away from you so that you're no longer carrying or holding these. Allow the earth to hold and carry your burdens, responsibilities, strong emotions. Now you have an option.
of extending your legs. You might need to shuffle on your lower back here so that your legs are extended. That's one option. You can stay with your knees bent. Another option here is to take your arms overhead. So you can have your legs extended and arms overhead. You can have your knees bent and arms overhead. If you start experiencing pins and needles in your arms, remember to bring them back down. Again, your eyes can be closed. Turn inward. Soften, release, surrender. Check how your lower back feels here, especially if your legs are extended. You can put a lot of pressure and tension on your lower back. And you may have noticed that I adjusted my bolster because I was beginning to experience some pinching in my lower back. If that pinching still continues after you've shifted on your bolster, bend into your knee. So you might have one leg extended and the other knee bent. You might have both knees with a bend. Play around and see how it feels. 3 more breaths here, whichever variation you're in. And then bending into your knees if not already, bringing your arms alongside you. And with great care here, if you are on a bolster or a cushion, engage your core, and then let's lift your hips and roll your bolster or your cushions away so that your lower back comes to the earth. Here you might keep that bolster underneath your knees, arms away from your body, palms face up. In Shavasana here. And now for the last few moments of our practice, we're going to stay here in Shavasana. And as we're here in Shavasana, I'm going to guide you through a body scan. We've been working on our upper body today, increasing social mobility, shoulder mobility. I might bring you social mobility, I don't know. I'm so aware politically at the moment that everything I think about is related to how we move through this world, the barriers and hurdles and obstacles we face. Those things that we must overcome. And often those barriers can cause us feelings of tension, stress. It's not surprising that my mind went on to issues related to where people are and what social capital and political capital they have or don't have. It was a bit heavy for Shavasana. So let's release those thoughts. Soften into your shoulders, so tuck your chin in slightly. Create some space between the tops of your shoulders and your ears. And soften your eyebrow center, crown of your head, cheekbones, jaw, neck, shoulders, shoulder blades, tops of your arms, elbows, lower arms, wrists, hands, fingers, thumbs. back to your shoulders, shoulder blades, rib cage, lower back, abdomen, hips, pelvis, upper legs, knees, lower legs, ankles, your feet, toes, the whole of your body from your head to your toes, from your crown to your root. Soften, melt, release, surrender, let go. Know that you are held by the earth, that you are supported by the earth, you are supported by your family, your community. Your burdens are shared. I invite you to stay here in Shavasana for as long as you wish. And if you wish to rise, hug in your knees to your heart space. Gentle rock and roll on your lower back. And if you've risen into your seat, let's bring your hands together at your heart center. Closing our practice by chanting Om Shanti. And for each Shanti, offer up peace to yourself, to your loved ones, to your community. Inhale fully. Exhale through open mouth. Inhale to prepare. Om Shanti. 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 Dhanyavad yogis. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Thank you.